Man, I've got no idea how these things happen to me. Again, not feeling the greatest, and again, I walk away with a PR in the session. This time it was the deadlift. On the back of doing a night shift. You know, if you guys watched yesterday's video, you'd know I went to a night shift. 12-hour night. I was in bed by around 9 o'clock. Woke up around 2 o'clock. So we're talking 5 hours sleep. What can you expect out of a session where you don't eat for a whole bunch of time and you don't, sleep for a whole bunch of time? Those things usually are not met with a good performance on the back of that. Today, literally just like yesterday, my goal was to come in, get the blood flowing, hit the hip flexors in some sort of way. Yesterday I did hanging leg raises. I can't do leg raises 2 days in a row. I'm just too sore, especially kind of in the abs. But my hip flexors, my actual psoas, iliopsoas, rectus femoris feels good. So I was kind of thinking about how to do an exercise where I do a bigger range of motion than my usual psoas curls. I ended up going to my garage and I picked out this strap that I had bought for something else. It's a Velcro strap. And so I would just loop it, through a kettlebell. Started off with a 6 kilo, went to a 12 kilo, and I just started repping out sets of 10. I ended up doing 5 sets of 10 with the 12. Backed away, did 5 more sets with the 6 kilo, and I just kind of stood on some weights. As you can see, I just put a bunch of weights together so I can elevate kind of my standing legs so I can have the proper range of motion. It's essentially what the knees over toes guy does with the monkey feet. I thought about ordering that, and I thought to myself, man, what am I spending money on something like that? It's just a freaking strap, man. You just get a strap. I bought this thing at Bunnings 6 months or so ago. I bought it for something else, just to hang some tools in here, and I thought, I never really used it at the end. I had 2 of them, so I just took one, shoved it in my bag, and I thought I'm going to try this out, and it worked. If you've got an iron tibialis anterior, that shin bone muscle, you'll be able to kind of handle it. But my muscle is not strong enough, and it's a very small muscle. There's no way you can handle such weight. So I just thought I'll just reinforce it with some straps or with a strap, and that way, even if my tibialis anterior fatigues, the kettlebell is not going to slip off. And it worked really well. I was quite happy with it. I ended up doing a whole bunch of work. So I did that, and the gym was packed today. So I had to park 2 streets away and walk to the gym. And I knew when I couldn't get a park at the gym, I thought it's going to be packed out, and it was, and so there was no squat rack. So I just kind of walked in. I thought I'll just spend a bunch of time with the psoas curls, the standing psoas curls. So I just thought, I'll keep an eye on the squat rack, and I kept doing the sets, and I was just waiting for the squat rack. Eventually, I saw one of the subscribers in the squat rack, so I walked up, had a chat to him, and he was, done by the time, we finished chatting or whatever. And so then I got to work. I started off with pin squats. When I got to the squat rack, worked up to 220, I believe it was. I did a set of 10 with that, and I did it at a 1 pin lower. And my God, does that change everything, man. It changes absolutely everything. I just feel my lower back, my core engaged so much more. The moment I get to that sort of level, you see it in a second, my body just naturally just wants to lean over, man. It just wants to lean over and use the posterior chain. So I was really fighting kind of to look up and to kind of force kind of some sort of verticality so I can use my legs rather than my hips. Anyway, he was very heavy on the hips, very, very heavy on the hip flexors. I was feeling the hip flexors like crazy when I was doing this. They were probably struggling to stabilize my lower back, after doing a whole bunch of this business that you're seeing here. But anyway, I got up to 220, which is a fair drop from what did I do the other day? 260. I think I did 260 the other day, or 270 or something along those lines, with a pin higher, with a hole higher there. So lots of power dropped, even though I've got nights and whatever. I think there was a lot of power dropped just you going one hole lower on the pins. But anyway, I thought it was a good idea to sort of start tweaking, start to kind of sneak my way down. I don't know how I'm going to recover after today's session. I mean, I did not plan to do what I did today. I ended up I was just kind of working with the pin squats, and I hit 220. I thought I'm not even going to do singles after that. I'll just leave it at the 220 for 10. Went into squats. I worked up to 200 kilos for squats. That kind of felt okay. Kind of tired hips. And, technically I should be doing some sort of back off volume with the squats, some sort of like 3 triples at 180 or something along those lines. But because I've come off a night shift and I really don't have any room, any reservoir, any reserve for metabolic, work, I thought I don't want to spend my energy doing, multiple reps per set. So I thought, well, I haven't done deadlifts in a while, and I thought, well, let's do some deadlifting now. Take this opportunity where I can't do volume, I'll just do intensity. I feel like even when I'm tired like this and I don't have food in my belly and I don't have good sleep, I can muster a single, but multiple sets of triples or 5s just wrecks me. It just completely taxes me, wears me out, and then I'm absolutely screwed. So I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do any volume work. I even thought about doing some bench press, but the Bilbo sets are brutal, man. Like, it's a lot of work. So I wanted to kind of minimize the work I did today. So I just thought, screw it, I'll just do singles. Went to the deadlift, and a few of the subscribers were kind of working around me. And by the time I got to the 250 kilo deadlift, they were around me and they were kind of encouraging me. I ended up doing 240, and the fellas were like, man, that looked good. Like, you should definitely put a couple of kilos extra. So I ended up putting 10 kilos more extra, and I got 250, which is a definite PR for me. Moved really well. I don't think I would have gone for the 250 if the fellas weren't there. But they were like, man, come on, like, this moved well, like, how did it feel? And I said to them, like, it felt pretty good, but if you guys weren't there, I would have just walked away. This is the thing. I was actually having a chat to them, like, there's a difference between how the lift looks on camera and how it feels. So a lot of the time, the camera looks like you're just having a freaking good old cocktail, at at Hawaii somewhere. It just looks freaking mint, no problems at all. But internally, you're having hell. So in the past, I used to think to myself, I'll just look at the footage, and a lot of times the footage would look like I'm not even working. And so I would kind of put on a bit more weight, and then I'll get stapled to the floor or to the pins or whatever. I'll just miss the lift. And so when I was having a chat to the fella, I said, it felt pretty good and definitely looks good. So I thought, let's just give it a whirl. Like, I'm not going to fight it too hard. If it doesn't want to budge off the ground, I won't round my spine and do a cat deadlift. So I just, walked up to it with no expectations. I thought I'll give it a good old go. I'll make sure my core's tight. And the bar broke the floor, and I kept pulling, and voila, I got it. So a definite surprise today. I've said this in the past, but when I got the 210 kilos for the first time, it was a similar day, man. It was like a 5 o'clock session, packed gym. I hate leaving the family in the PM to go to the gym. I hate it because, we usually chill out together, watch a movie or hang out or whatever. So I'm leaving the family at the worst possible time. It's a PM session, so I'm pissed off. I get to the gym, there's no car park, so I have to go to the street. And the whole time I'm like, for God's sake, man, like, I was circling around the place trying to look for a car park. Ended up a street or two away. So I walk into the gym and I'm like, man, again, like, I remember the last time this happened at this very gym, I went home. I couldn't be screwed waiting for the squat rack. But this time I was, let's just come in and do the work and whatever, like, stick with it. I wasn't in all that very good mood. I wasn't feeling great because of the night shifts, and voila, PR, 250. Maybe one day somebody's going to, have some sort of scientific explanation for what this is. Like, I've heard all sorts of different things about it, but I don't know what it is about me. Maybe I'm just one of those individuals that do well when they feel shit. I don't know what even that means, but I don't know whether it's a personality thing or whether when I'm feeling good, I have different expectations. I use more energy during the warm-ups, or there's more CNS fatigue because I'm more amped up. I don't know what it is. Like, I've heard all sorts of different explanations about it, but this is kind of like the second time in a row now in the space of, I don't know how long, a month, where I've rocked up and I have no business of hitting a PR, and I hit a PR. So, last time was the squat. Now it's the deadlift. So I don't know what that even means. Now that I'm kind of sitting back now and I'm thinking about the whole experience today, I can't help think about, but, what led me to the 250. Obviously, squatting has been going really well. I've been hitting these 180 for 3 triples lately. I'm doing lots of volume, doing the pin squats. I'm feeling great. Like, there's no pain anywhere. I've incorporated this kind of focused attack on the hip flexors on the core. So I'm feeling really, really stable under the bar. And, you know, I mean, I haven't done deadlifts off the floor for quite a while now. Like the last 3 times, I want to say, I've been doing rack pulls, like right at the lowest pin. So the bar's kind of like, I don't know, upper third of the shin, kind of like at the tibial tuberosity, kind of around that level. So I've done a few of those sessions. And the last session that I did with that, I ended up really getting a mean old back pump. So that's kind of where I started thinking about hip flexors. So I've been doing hip flexors and my back has been feeling great. Today I did some more hip flexors. My back started feeling, you know, great again. No back pump in the pin squats. And then, you know, I do this with the deadlift. So I don't have, I guess, there was no specificity leading up to this 250. You know, I haven't done an off the ground deadlift for a little while now, probably over a month, I would say. I'll probably have to check the trainer log to see exactly when it was, but it's been a little while, and I'm able to do this. So once again, same as when I hit 230, same as here with 240, now I hit 250. I'm doing these deadlift PRs in the absence of specific deadlifting. Like I'm not doing anything, you know, frequently enough, I think. I don't know. Like I know some people out there, you know, they do deadlift training once a fortnight and they say it works well. For me, that's never worked well. I think what's happening again is I've once again had a really good squatting period, which is now kind of ended up in a deadlift PR. Once again, the deadlift is doing a lot of my gains again. It's just interesting to me. It's interesting to me. You know, part of me is thinking that maybe because the way I squat, there's a bit of a forward lean. Although in recent times, there's been less forward lean. I don't know. I'm just trying to search for reasons why. I mean, if you think about it, I don't do anything for direct hamstring work. Like, you know, it's all about glutes for me when it comes to squatting. So I don't think my hamstrings are strong at all. Like, you know, a lot of guys have said to me, why don't you do Nordic curls? And I tried Nordic curls like 2-3 months ago. And I tried to do 1 rep and I feel like the whole thing was going to snap off the damn bone, man. Like I have no strength in my hamstrings at all to do a Nordic curl, a single Nordic curl. Yet I'm able to do a 250 kilo deadlift, which makes me wonder, what is the role of the Nordic curls? Like it's probably more beneficial for athletes on the field who are running and who are in those stretch positions trying to pick the ball off the ground. So this is the 200 kilo. This is the last squat that I did for today. I remember it feeling well. I haven't actually seen it since. It felt well. It didn't feel amazing, which is why I didn't load more weight, but yeah, a bit of a slowdown, but still pretty good. And this is, when I worked this bar, I started thinking, okay, what do I do now? Do I go home now? And I thought, well, I'm not going to do any back off volume with the squat. Let me just do some sort of pulling and use this opportunity to do a bit of pulling, just singles, no fatigue at all. I ended up doing it at PR. But so yeah, these Nordic curls, I just wonder to myself, like how beneficial are they, you know, to actual deadlifting? I always think about my, you know, carryover of different exercises. You know, I mean, you can do 1,001 different exercises, but is it actually going to help you in your goal? I know there's been a lot of chatter recently with these Nordic curls, especially because of the knees over toes guy, and he's got a lot of great examples of why you should do them and whatever. But I mean, I don't see him deadlifting. I don't see him squatting any big weight. Maybe his athletes are squatting big weight, but I'm just wondering, like, you know, is it serving my purpose to do this? You know, for me, I just squat and my deadlift goes up and my squat goes up. And now the fact that in the last, I want to say, probably 2 months, I've been completely pain-free with my hip and whatever. I'm feeling really balanced. Everything is going well now. And I'm just wondering now, like if I had this stretch from the onset of the hip pain, like for the last year, if I had no, you know, hip pain, I just wonder where I would have ended up. You know, but when you spend so much time looking for answers because you're in pain, so much time you think to yourself, should I push through the pain or not push through the pain? Then you push through the pain a few times and then you really get it real bad and then you regress and then on and on and on it goes around. Just feels fantastic to be sitting here and talking to you guys after a 250 kilo deadlift PR. It just feels incredible, you know, when I think about where I've come from. So progress is always good. But like I said to the cameraman, I mean, he wasn't available tonight, but, you know, we always have these chats like, weightlifting is a funny old business, man. Like, a lot of people who don't lift, they think like it's incredible excitement when you hit a PR. I don't know, maybe you guys do get that, but for me, when I hit a PR, like, it feels good. Like, I don't want to say it feels bad. It feels good, but the very next thought, like, that thing might last like 5, 10, 20 seconds, a minute maybe. The very next thought is, all right, when's 260 happening? You know what I mean? It's like one of those funny things. It's like the moment you hit a PR, you're like, all right, how do I get to the next one? And automatically I got into analysis mode and be like, okay, what got me here? Let me just do more of that. And I just start looking at the training log and start thinking about how do I get to 260? Can I do more of the same? Automatically. And so it's like, it's you're happy, but you're, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to feel really happy when I get to 260 or 300, say, the ultimate goal. Or whether I'm going to go, okay, how do I get to 310? So it's one of those funny things. It's kind of like, I think this is why I like weightlifting, because it mimics life. Like, it's always about the process rather than the destination. It's like, I don't know what the destination is in life, like the grave. Like what are we doing here? Like, it's, there's no destination. It's like, it's such a quick life that you have to enjoy the process. You have to be focused on the process. And for me, the process is working things out. Having faith in my knowledge, having faith in my ability to kind of work things out, problem solve, puzzle solve, and move forward. I think for me, the most joy is when things click. And, it's not so much the things click when you hit a PR. Progress is fantastic, but when you feel like, okay, I'm feeling fantastic, I'm feeling strong, I'm feeling this exercise is going really well, it's making me feel strong. I think those are kind of the wins when you're on the right track. It was what I love the most. So this is the 240. I would have walked away after this if it wasn't for the fellas saying, encouraging me to go for 250. This felt good. My back integrity was there the entire time, which was the selling point for me when it comes to loading more weight. I don't want a rounded lower back. Definitely, I don't want that. So here it is, 240. Just a lot of confidence through the posterior chain, through my back. Held on really well. I said to the fellas, well, I'm surprised I got this on a day like this after a night shift and all that stuff. Anyway, so this is where I was thinking, all right, let's set this thing up. Yeah, put 250. Give it a good go. Feel the tension. And just the whole time thinking about your lower back. What's your lower back doing? Is it rounding? If it's straight and strong, and you got good air and everything is going well, then keep adding power to the bar. If it starts to break, let it go. That's exactly what I was thinking. The luxury of a deadlift is that you won't die. You just won't move. With the squat on your back, you have to think, okay, this might guillotine slice my freaking neck off if I fall forward. With this thing, it's whatever. I'll push hard into it, pull harder, whatever you want to say. If it doesn't budge, take the plates off and go home. So here it is, 250. Just a lot of confidence again. A lot of confidence. I said to the fellas straight after, I said, thank you for encouraging me to do this. Like, if it wasn't for you fellas, I wouldn't have done this. So anyway, they were like, well, you reckon you got 260 in you? I said, nah. The central nervous system is probably fried. So anyway, incredible day out of nowhere. Again, who knows what's happening with biology and psychology and all this sort of stuff. But I know we've talked about this many times in the past in the comments, how you always get surprised with these days. Just no expectation, and voila. I'll catch you guys tomorrow after a good night's sleep and see what happens tomorrow. Peace out.